Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello, dear friends. I am Correa, and we gather right here on all Kardec Radio platforms every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to study the divine laws that govern all of our lives as well as the universe. What a blessed opportunity it is for us to acquire knowledge that shall empower us for immortality. Tonight, the focus of our study, beloved friends, shall be on question 901 of the Spirit's Book by Allan Kardec. So before we begin, let us welcome everyone who is here. Thank you so much for joining us, and let us attune with the higher minds that plan the study sessions so as to make ourselves useful for the good tonight. How do we make ourselves useful for the good? We make an effort to think the good and visualize the good and feel the good as we find ourselves blessed to be here for the purpose of studying Spiritism together. What a true blessing! So let us all feel embraced and truly enveloped in this current of divine light. And let us now then go straight to the source, Allan Kardec himself. Let us read question 901 together, then read the answer from the illuminated spirits as well, and afterwards we shall bring a couple of highlights to our attention and do a practical exercise together so as to feel the scriptures, to bring mind and heart as one. Shall we, dear friends? Let us then open the Spirit's Book to question 901. In this particular question, Kardec asks, of two misers, the first deprives himself of necessities and dies of want atop his treasure, whereas the second only stingy towards others, but is extravagant towards himself, while he recoils before the smallest sacrifice to render a service or do something useful. Nothing seems better to him than satisfying his own tastes and passions. If a favor is asked of him, he is always ill-willed, but if a whim strikes, he is always ready to satisfy it. Which of them is guiltier, and which of them will have the worst place in the spirit realm? Excellent question for us to reflect upon. Let us learn from the emissaries of God and Master Jesus who help guide humanity. They answer concisely but beautifully by saying the following: the one who spends, he is more selfish than miserly. The other has already received part of his punishment. So now we know, dear friends, that in accordance to the divine laws, we are responsible for offering a divine accountability of how we utilize the resources that are given to us. financial resources being one of them, one of the talents granted to us by God. Oh, but Carol, we are not on the 10 wealthiest people list at this point in time. But, dear friends, no matter the quantity of resources we have, we are still responsible for accounting as to how we utilize those resources before our own conscience. So, for instance, if we amount or gathered many of our God given talents only for ourselves under the excuse of being careful, we run the risk of becoming selfish or of feeding the selfish tendencies that we likely bring with us from other lifetimes. So, how to know, dear friends, if we are crossing the line before God's laws? We can use as a thermometer the following. Here is our spiritual thermometer. Of the resources that we have at hand, do we destine at least some of it to assist the universal family? In the gospel, according to Spiritism, we also learn that those who are given much or who have received much from those who have received much, much will be asked. So, for those of us who, for instance, live in the United States and thus live a more comfortable life, materially speaking, than the average, we are held more responsible towards thinking of others. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Those of us who are granted the superfluous, who are given more than we actually need, materially speaking, are expected by our own conscience to channel part of this superfluous needs towards others. Yes, dear friends, this is why some of us are given more than we need, so that we may assist our brothers and sisters in greater need. As a matter of fact, it may be written in our incarnatory plan, our reincarnatory plan or contract with God, that we are meant to direct some of our resources to those in need. This is why those in need may be very visible to us or tangible to us because we asked God before reincarnating for the opportunity to serve them. Perhaps in previous lives, dear friends, we were not mature enough yet to take into consideration the needs of our brothers and sisters. So now, the very likely we were instructed in the spiritual realm to learn how to love even before reincarnating. Very likely we asked our mentors, the mentors who love us so much, to grant us resources and opportunities to serve and assist others. We very likely begged for the mentors to help us awaken from our own selfish tendencies built out of many lives where we may have nurtured the habit without even noticing of thinking primarily of ourselves. So perhaps it is very likely that all of us, ourselves included, have an item in our reincarnatory plan pledging to our consciousness, to Master Jesus, and to God first and foremost, that we shall make an effort to reach out. Yes, indeed. So, how much of our time, of our patience, of our kindness, and even of our financial material resources do we share with others? For instance, in the United States, fall is approaching. How much are we willing to donate of items we don't utilize anymore? Oh, but Carol, we may need this item a few months from now. Please, Carol, don't think about it. It is not we who are thinking about it, it is the proposal of the Christ that we give of the much that we have received. So, how much are we willing to detach from our material resources on behalf of others? How much are we willing to donate items, dear friends, that are not even useful to us anymore? God may be counting on us to redirect the superfluous to us so that others have the needed resources to meet their own reincarnatory goals. Perhaps there are individuals counting on us right now to rechannel our resources on their behalf. So, the exercise for us tonight will be to think about how we can redirect our resources on behalf of others. Not absolutely everything, because that would be going to another extreme, but especially what we may consider superfluous or what we do not utilize anymore. Mhm. Are we willing to donate to a campaign on social media? Are we willing to donate to a shelter of women and children in greater need? Are we willing to make sandwiches or some kind of simple meal to give away to those who don't even have a shelter? Are we willing to, for instance, donate diapers to mothers who have little children and do not have the resources currently to make their ends meet? How about the people really close to us at work, especially at home? Are we willing to learn to love them more? Redirecting the resource of our kindness, of our presence, of our attention, of our love to them? Are we willing to do that? This is the invitation from on high to all of us, so that the love coming from God truly flows through us. Because as we think only of ourselves, dear friends, we stagnate God's love. We are reincarnated to allow God's love to become abundant, not only for ourselves, but for others. This is why we have to do our part. And this is the very reason also why Master Jesus invited us to love one another. So let us then become distributors of God's wealth, because everything that we believe is ours per se is nothing but a temporary loan, including our blessed physical body. So let us look at our resources and say, Dear God, thank you so much for giving us, for lending us this resource. What shall you, dear God, want us to do with it. Please show us how to redirect it for the greater good, the good of our universal family. Let us also, dear friends, teach our children that though it is valid for them to have their wishes, of course, they too are being called by God, Master Jesus, and the mentors to become instruments of love on behalf of others. So if our child asks for a specific gift on a given day, we, as great Christ conscious parents and guardians, shall say, yes, but before we buy another toy, how about if we give one or more away? Let us think of the happiness that other children shall feel as they play with this toy that you don't play with anymore. Shall we bring them that joy? This is what Jesus wishes for us to do, to distribute joy of living also through the material resources that have been kindly lended to us. So let us, dear friends, beautifully and willingly become more attuned as the instruments of love in the name of God, distributing God's wealth that has been lended to us all the more towards those in greater need. Because we know, according to God, Master Jesus, and the mentors, charity is the way. Without charity, there is no salvation. So let us invest in the muscle of charity within our souls so as to expand our hearts all the more, because we are destined, for certain, to learn to love all of our fellow beings. Why not start now? This is the proposal, dear friends. So let us go forth and distribute God's abundant love. And in the meantime, as we prepare ourselves to actively engage in this exercise, we wish you, beloved friends, many blessings, a great big hug, and we look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.